Hello and welcome to Mia, the Passion Muse Show. I'm Mia Saenz Whitmore, your host, and right with me here is Victoria Wynn. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you, Mia.
Victoria, as you all know, does the Lies Project, The Lies I Tell Myself. And so for the month of January, we're celebrating being able to have Victoria with us to break down some of the lies that are most asked to her in her columns, her projects, her clients, everything like that. So we wanted to discuss intimacy. Well, kind of sex and intimacy, to be exact. And so it covers a lot because there are a lot of people who are not connected to intimacy and those who are afraid of it. So would you like to begin a little bit, Victoria, here, how some of your clients and people are sharing with you the fears that they have of intimacy, and do they see it as a connection issue?
You know, I don't know that they see it as a connection issue, and of course we're talking really broad and really general. But what it seems to come down to is a relationship to their self first. So we always dig into that. There tends to be unworthiness issues. You know, when a man is treating a woman poorly, or too often also a woman is treating a man poorly. I'm seeing a lot more of that. It's like as we get into our power, we get a power trip, kind of. So it really goes both ways. But it seems to be being about the relationship we have to ourselves, because of course if that's not to a certain amount kind of clean and clear, then how can you really connect and love and give without all the expectations? Because of course expectations are just there to fill our ego and make us feel better. But what if we already feel loved? Then what would being in a relationship with that person be like?
Right. You know what's fabulous about what you just mentioned? It is reminding me of, I've heard it a lot lately, people are actually taking accountability for themselves before they actually begin to date. And when I first heard that, I thought, well, who the heck does that? I mean, I did for a short time myself. But I think the human part of us wants to just jump right in and have fun. But truly, the intimacy with ourselves, we don't know what we don't know until we know it. So if we don't investigate who we are and that love and connection with ourselves and understand where we want to go and why we want to go there and what our limits and boundaries are, we can't be or show up in any type of relationship, whether it's an intimate with a partner or an intimate with a close friend, because we do have close, intimate relationships with our friends.
Sure. It's definitely worth the investment to read some books, join some groups, go to workshops. But I'll have to add that do the work. If you're going to take the time to do those things, then really take a look within, because it's so easy to make everything make sense intellectually. But really understanding it from here is a whole different story. But it's so worth the investment. After my divorce 5 years ago, I decided that whoever I was going to be with deserved a better me, deserved a more accountable me, a more accountable Victoria, and a more loving Victoria. So I did the work, and I did just that. I read books, I went through programs, and it really was worth it. You know, $1,000 or $2,000 price tag here and there, it's actually, I really could not give a crap about the money, because my intimate relationship, you know, with my new husband now, worth a heck of a lot more than the books and the programs that I went through. So yeah, if I was going to actually give a tip on that, you hit it really early on in the show, is take the time to invest in educating yourself on how to be accountable, what it means to love yourself. I didn't even understand what that meant. I thought it was kind of a selfish thing.
Yeah, people don't until they decide that they want to be happier, truly happier.
And so you just start asking, and never feel dumb to ask. So if you see someone in a beautiful relationship, ask them, what are you doing? Like, what is going on? And over the years on Facebook, I would ask, what what people think is are the things that are keeping their marriage or their partnership strong through the years for the longevity. And I love it because they give amazing tips, and not only that, it gave me hope that this can be real. A selfless, loving, connective, intimate relationship, it can be real. See, in my head before, after that divorce, I really didn't think it was real. I actually was thinking that maybe people were tricking me, and it was a big conspiracy if the old people were holding hands at the park. I'm like, you know what? It's just because they know I'm looking at them. It's a big trick in this whole universe because it's all a bunch of bull. How funny that I'm all the way over here now talking about about it. That I was pretty devastated and confused, and so I got bold and asked people, is that real? You know, is your relationship real? And if so, how do you get to that point? What are you doing? Always ask.
Right. I think that when we're in a relationship with someone and we have that intimacy and that connection because we know who we are and we embrace that, even if the union doesn't last, whether it's friends, you know, a boyfriend, girlfriend, or, you know, someone who's not heterosexual, two men, two women, whatever the connection relationship is, when it ends, it can still be, there can still be the love and beauty if two people want that, because it was once there. And when you were talking, I instantly flashed on, in the state of California, you have to have, when you divorce, you have to have, if you have children, you have to take child classes before you divorce. And so, do you? And so I remember meeting with the mediator afterwards with my ex-husband, and we left that office holding hands, and he held me like, with his arm around me so sweetly, like when we were married and in love. And it's because we love our children and we love each other as human beings, and we've always committed to remaining friends, even though we've had our hard times. You know, we both don't agree, you know, on certain things. But the point is the intimacy can still be there with anyone if we know ourselves and if we allow it in, because that was the most tender, loving experience. I don't know how often I've thought of it since then. Maybe this is the first time. But it was truly beautiful. And I realized when he held me as we walked out to the car why I loved him. But I also knew it, you know, why we were no longer together. But it kind of gave a renewal of intimacy between our relationship as parents of our children.
Yeah.
So co-creators of them.
That's amazing.
So, thank you.
That's amazing. Trying not to be jealous. I just think that's great. I just think that's great. And I didn't really know it could be like that. I've seen a few examples where they're still friends, but that's a pretty tender story. And I love it because it shows us what can be.
Right. And we are the creators of our own existence, so we can create whatever we want. We don't have to listen to this sounds like my grandmother, the rigmarole. We don't have to listen to the rigmarole of what other people say. We create because it feels good. We know that it's coming from the heart of love and giving. So it's beautiful. Some things that we had spoken, you and I, before, that comes up as questions in your columns is, why do I choose the bad boy, and can I change? And that's extremely interesting, because what draws people first? Okay, so that's the lie. What draws people to the bad boys? First, you tell me, and then we'll go from there. What do you feel that draws women to the bad boys or men to the bad girls?
Oh, that's a good question.
And we're saying now, we're not saying bad girls as in the sexy girl. We're talking about the B-word girls, the girls that make us feel. The girls that make you feel bad about yourself, but you feel like you have to be there because she's cute, but she's bitchy, and you just for some reason have to be there, which is a negative aspect, actually. So.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you defined it, because first is the definition. Sometimes we can describe a bad boy, and it just depends on what your perception is. So in this context, we're talking about people that that maybe don't even talk highly about you, and you're dating them. And that happens a lot. Criticizing, not honoring your opinions or respecting you, and it goes both ways between men and women. So that being the definition for bad boy and bad girl, I've attracted that into my life before, and I've taken a big, long look as to what that was all about. And it was several things, like when I didn't think I could get better. You know, I'm a single mom with 5 kids. I better take what I can get.
That is a lie right there. And
it's a terrible lie. It's a devastating lie. Thankfully, I didn't sit around in it very long, but long enough, you know.
Right, right.
So that was one of mine. And then there's oftentimes a void for me that I had inside me. So I was looking for, here's a great example. So one time I dated what I would call kind of a party guy, you know, like a musician, and he's out and about and loves to be at all the parties and have the parties. And well, I left a relationship where my ex-husband didn't want to leave the house. So he filled a void there for me. It was a bit out of balance though, because I went from one extreme, kind of a hermit type person, to whoa, like we had a fog machine at my house and like light thing, like it was hilarious. And we did have some fun times. It served its purpose for what it was.
Right.
And so now, yeah, I keep what balance looks like to me. You know, I keep my balance. But it can be a void. Mm-hmm. And, here's another good one. A lot of women seem to be really, really good at seeing the good in people. Mm-hmm. And it can be to our detriment. It can be a blessing, and it can be to our detriment, because we can overlook some big red flags. Because we see, but he's so good with the kids, but he's yelling at me, and actually it makes me feel kind of bad about myself. But he's so good with kids, and I want someone that's good with kids, not realizing that it's all out there for you. Almost like I had this idea that there was a give and take. Mm-hmm. So if he was going to be good looking, and that's great, I was so excited, but he didn't treat me so great. Well, that's, first of all, it's out of balance, but I had in my head that I couldn't have it all. Mm-hmm. And once we think we can't have it all, you won't have it all.
Right, exactly.
That's just a guarantee.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. One thing I'd like to say about that, because a lot of women and men, we're finding out, are being abused by women. When somebody is evil to you, we'll just use the plain word evil, and they're lovely to your children still see it, and they're still being affected. And
that happened.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
That's absolutely right. Don't think that you're fooling your kids. Right. We could do a whole series called that. Don't think you're fooling your kids, because it's true.
Absolutely. And they are such sponges that puts in information into their head. First of all, they can start treating mommy bad, too. Or secondly, they can try to be the defender of mommy, and then for the rest of their life, they will be reactive to that type of a person. Either they'll bring it into their experience, or they won't. But we really need to be careful when it's regarding our kids. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that a lot of women in particular won't realize that until they hear you say it, because that's part of the bad boy thing. You know, he's cute, he stimulates me, he gets me going, he's, you know, off here and there, but he's good with my kids, but sometimes, you know, he just tells me blah, 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 and I feel really bad. Well, a relationship isn't to feel really bad, because you can't be your true intimate self and be intimate with a partner. You can be for sex, but how deep is that intimacy? When you have that bad boy sense, how deep can you truly open up? If you can't open up to the depth of intimacy when you're talking, when you're not in the act of the physical wow, then you don't have anything. I'd like to confess to you, Victoria, I had one of those experiences myself with a friend. He was a friend, and we started, a relationship on an intimate level, but yet we still remain friends. I mean, it was very unclear. It was it was amazing. We had an amazing chemistry. But I found out later on that he was bad-mouthing me to people. And it literally broke my heart, because I truly loved him. When you have a friend that, first of all, is one of your male best friends, and then you allow the intimacy of the sexual part in, and yet you still know that you're not going anywhere with it, you love that person on many levels. You love him as your best friend. You love him as your lover. You love him as, the possibility of what could be. You love them for the music, and he was a musician too. You love them for the music they play. You love them for what they do for you. And then you're really hurt because they're not there for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't think he's a bad boy. I just think that it was a mismatch. And that can be how we can create maybe a new view of the bad boy, bad girl, is that when they find their true match, then they're not going to be a bad boy, a bad girl, because they can't, well, let's hope that they can't do anything but love and to give.
So something came to me through our chat here for the last few minutes. And if I could put one word, just plaster it across our faces, across the screen, it would be safety. Mm-hmm. So how can we be intimate and truly, truly connected with someone if we don't feel safe around them?
Exactly.
Safe to be ourselves, safe to make mistakes, safety. And so that's something I look for in a relationship with friends, with business, business partners or potential clients, because oftentimes when I say client, it can get into a business partner situation, and safety is super important there too. And then definitely with your intimate partner, when you're out looking, one, I get it, you need to be physically attracted to them, but make your number two, do I feel safe around them?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. And I love that you said that, because if you can't express yourself and you have to hold back, you're not being true to yourself, you're not being true to that person. I was having a conversation with a man recently, and I said, that woman is in love with you. You used to date her, you're best friends with her, she's still in love with you. And he said, oh, no, and it doesn't matter because, I'm not in love with her. And I said, look, I know from my own experience, when I've been in a relationship with a friend and brought it to a different level and wanted something more, but it couldn't be, you're going to lie. You are going to lie. You're going to say to that person, I love you, you're my friend. Mm-hmm. But truly, it's deeper. And we still debate about that. It was with the guy that I'm dating. We still debate about that. And about this one person and about that concept. And it's crazy because you may know someone, but you don't truly know them. We hide things from people. It's human nature. We don't mean to, but we do mean to when we know that we'll be rebuffed or put off. So it's just the way that people interact. And so getting back to sex and intimacy, I think that what I was just saying truly opens us up to another thought of being honest with ourselves. And the safety, like you said, and being honest and feeling safe in a relationship. If you can't say to that person, I love you, I'm sorry, I'm trying to deal with this, but I really do love you, in the way a woman loves a man or a man loves a woman, then there's not safety there. And you shouldn't be in that, you should not allow yourself to be in that situation, because you're not allowing true intimacy in for your own gain.
Again, to put it really simply for me, the best intimacy, the best sex, in my opinion, you're ever going to get is with someone that you feel safe with. Mm-hmm. Typically, when you feel safe with someone, they kind of turn into your best friend. That's what I've noticed with my husband. Yeah. It's just a phenomenal energy flow. If you can be with partner, respect them, make mistakes, because I sure as heck make mistakes, and know that he still loves me, then yeah, when it comes time for intimacy, I just don't have all these walls and all these blocks and all these protect my heart, protect myself. I don't get into fears about my body. Safety also comes, again, I have to speak as a woman because I'm a woman, but when I know that he accepts all of me for the shape whatever shape I am, whatever I'm weighing, whatever the hair is looking like, or the no makeup, or the running makeup, or whatever, that is so hot to a girl. So to the guys, love her. Just tell her she's perfect as is.
But mean it too, because they can smell your bullshit.
Yeah, and that is a given. Be your truth. And if you are kind of a different show, but I'm going to bring it up anyways. If you're nitpicking on your girlfriend, or for a girl, you're nitpicking at your guy's his little gut or whatever your issue is, some balding, I don't know. Chances are you're really hard on yourself. Take a look at it. It's probably not him as much as how you're feeling about yourself.
Right.
So.
And
again,
why would we be nitpicking on somebody that we love, that we chose to be with, right? I mean, really, when you think about it too, like what you're saying, the safety, the intimacy, the honesty, the love, we have no right to nitpick. But I know what you're saying, because we were talking about, the reactions of...
It's our ego. It's because we project our own crap on other people.
Right.
Because we feel low about ourselves, and therefore we tend to stomp people down. I mean, there's so many but yes, like, of course, why would you do that? When I'm in a spiritually enlightened place, I don't do that. When I'm being human, it gets tricky, and I got to catch myself and ask myself, again, turn it around to yourself. What's going on with me? Oh, I haven't exercised in like a year, and it's starting to really bug me. And so I'm just pushing that crap over to him, and he's incredible. Like, that's, but yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, I just started thinking about another little story about my ex-husband, and that was, when I love a man, I love a man. I think they're beautiful. There's nothing, I can't find anything wrong, and I don't want to. Would there have been something wrong in the beginning when we were dating, one of those little ooh things? Maybe so. But as you grow to love someone, man, woman, you don't see that stuff. You see the total beauty.
Yeah.
But I recall saying to him one time, giving him a compliment, and he said, "Why do you always see me this way? Why do you always see me as so great? I'm not." So he started pointing out all the things that he was not. But it was his lack of self-esteem that made him not believe my love for him. So then guess what? I started noticing the little bits here and there that he pointed out. And I'm not saying that that's what killed our marriage. It obviously was the lack of self-esteem on the other person's part. But when we love wholeheartedly. We don't see that somebody may have gained 20 pounds. Sure, we might see it. But do we still love that person? Do we still want to embrace them, hold them, kiss them, hug them, hear them talk to us, watch that beautiful smile that makes us melt, look into their eyes and just say, "I love you"?
Yeah, the body stuff only lasts a little while before there needs to be a real bonding connection with your partner.
Exactly.
The prettiness, the sexiness, it wears off, especially if you have someone who isn't so pretty or sexy on the inside. So.
Right, and that's what this wonderful sex and intimacy of this segment is all about too. Because when you get beyond and you get into the realm of the true love, that intimacy flows, and that's the connecting bonding between a man and a woman, or between yourself and yourself and the outside world, and that is really, really beautiful, because that's true. That's what lasts, that connection, not the other stuff. And it's funny because I was thinking about my bad boy that I had brought up, and I had created this this program called the Muse Method. It's these 5 steps to get people connected together. They're actually couples, and to connect them deeper and stronger. And so I wanted to work on part of it with him. And part of it, the first part was this looking at each other in an intimate way. And he finally said, I can't do this. I don't want to be that intimate. And I realized what he was doing was he was pushing himself off, because a lot of times it's fear. Because if you enjoy spending time with somebody and you love making love with them, but you don't want to be intimate, what's the bottom line of intimacy? It's the connection, the trust, the hurt. So evaluate all that. We opened up this about self-evaluation, about sex and intimacy, and that's exactly where we need to go with ourselves in order to know and to be safe, as Victoria said, in relationships.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, do you want to talk about something kind of juicy? Kind of juicy, kind of personal, but my gut's saying I should talk about it. I'm like, right. Fine.
Let's
heart,
do it.
Be that way. So here goes. So I had some serious health issues just a few months ago, so it's super recent to me. And basically, so I'm newly married as of last May. So what's that? 9 months or so into my marriage. And we find out, no intercourse. And if there is, later on when it's safe, then it has to have all these restrictions, condom, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm on the pill, I'm married, especially, this is my first year of marriage too. Not that it would matter if it were 10 years down the line. But man, we've learned some amazing lessons, and gotten some gifts from what I thought was like the biggest curse ever. It wasn't. It's been a blessing, because we've learned that there's so many other ways that you can be intimate. And there's still physical, but it doesn't have to be the act of sex. And we were forced to explore different things, doing things slower, doing things differently, or it's been incredible to you can write a book on those tips and how to do that, but for now,
well,
without getting too detailed.
It's beautiful, honey, that you just shared that. I've had clients come to me that say, my husband can't have sex. He can't, let's just use that briefly. And I will say to them, there are so many more avenues and areas to connect. You can still pleasure him. He can still pleasure you. It's about that intimacy that you're talking about. Good for you. Good for you for being brave enough to say that.
Well, I don't want people to think that even though you're married, it's just supposed to be about quick sex and, a certain amount of sex each week. It's like, we can create these, what society tells us, and this is what it should be like. That's all bull. It's whatever serves you and your partner. End of story. Right. And for us, what served us is, slowing down, being creative.
I love that. See, that's the way I am. My last partner was not, and so you have to develop what's best for both of you, and make sure that they do link together. That's beautiful, because isn't it more tingling and exciting when you can actually prolong it? For me, they used to be like hours or all-nighters, and it's like that's exactly what I wanted in my relationship. That's what was important to me. So I love that you brought that up, because intimacy is exactly what you said. It's finding the beauty of other ways. There's cuddling, there's touching, there's kissing. There's so many ways to connect and be intimate and show that you love each other.
There's pleasing your partner without expectation of what you're going to get. That's exactly the awesomest.
Well, that's the most erotic to me. Yeah, that's the most erotic to me. In fact, it makes my body have full female O's, because when I can do that and just feel like I'm being the most amazing seductress for him, holy moly, I'm just like, woo! I'm totally satisfied. That's total satisfaction to me.
And I've heard from many, many men, it's the same for them. So, I mean, I definitely want men to comment, beneath this video and talk about that. Because oftentimes a big lie that we women have told ourselves is that men are just after sex. And it's just not true. That's a blanket statement. Absolutely, there are some creepers out there, but absolutely there are men that are like, no, I just want to please her. I just want her to be happy. Men are very driven to service. I've noticed.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely,
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Awesome.
Well, guess what? We're out of time. Our time is up. So, Thank you so much for sharing this 30 minutes on intimacy with me, and for opening up and being vulnerable and brave and courageous and all the strength that you have as a woman. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you. Glad I went with my gut.
I'm glad too. Victoria and I will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye.